When you're solving a right triangle trig application, I can't emphasize how important it is to read the words, like the instructions, really. It's got to be said. These are the 3 steps. If you read the words and if you draw a picture, you will probably solve this thing just fine. But most of the problems happen in that drawing the picture part. People can do SOH-CAH-TOA, and that's not usually where the error is. Usually the error is figuring out what these words are talking about. So when we say there's a 553 meter tall structure, okay, well that's fine. Most people say, okay, 553 tall, there it is. In this problem, the shadow seems to be a point of confusion a lot of times. People say it casts a 340 meter long shadow. Well, somehow you get the idea in your head that this is a 340 long shadow, like from the top to the ground. No, that's not how shadows work. It's talking about the length of the shadow along the ground. So that's over here, 340 on the ground where the shadow is. Okay, so now that we know those things, and we have our diagram drawn, and we know that we want this angle, it says what's the angle of elevation, right? Angle of elevation to the sun. That's you on the ground. Over here, that's like you right here, and you're looking up at the sun. Okay, so that's the angle of elevation right there. So, rubbish. Let me get rid of this failing with my eraser. There we go. Okay, so I want that theta angle right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up our SOH-CAH-TOA to solve it. So what's important? Is it the SO? Is it the CA? Is it the TOA? Well, think about what we know. I know the opposite, and I know the adjacent, and I want the angle. So which one of these SOH-CAH-TOA things over here has opposite and adjacent in it? It is TOA, right? That's opposite and adjacent right there. And it tells us to use the tangent function. So we write our equation. We say tangent of theta equals opposite over adjacent. Now, we don't need to leave it opposite and adjacent because we know what those things are. So we're just going to plug in opposite and adjacent using the diagram. That's 553 is my opposite, and my adjacent is 340. Now, you're going to have to use an inverse tangent button on the calculator. In other words, let's rearrange this thing and say theta equals the inverse tangent of 553 over 340. These two things that I just drew right there, these are exactly the same. They mean the same thing in terms of the math. The calculator has a button on it called the inverse tangent button. That's what we're going to use to solve this. So go find your tangent button on the calculator, and you'll probably have to use the second function to get to the inverse tangent. It's the one with the little -1 over it. And then when you type that in and you solve it, you're going to get the answer equals 58.416 degrees. So if you got the same answer as me, when you plug in this into your tangent button, your inverse tangent button, then you're doing it right.